Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by BKCW Insurance. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, a.k.a. Fall Pine Bomb, where I'm joined every morning by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. And before we even begin, we're going to just go let everyone see, because everybody's been waiting. First, Bobby, I don't think yours needs any introduction.
No, I am the Vandy pimp today. Since we're playing Vandy tomorrow, I figured I'd take a little piece off of the SEC Shorts guys on YouTube, have a little fun with it. But congratulations. Is that Kirby Smart I see asking for a timeout, or are you clapping?
No. Yeah, I'm Kirby Smart. Hugh Freeze, you got porked, and Sark, you may be next. We got it all. Least penalties called the SEC. Let's go.
Oh, well, tell us where you're checking in from, what you're drinking, get your questions in. Happy Halloween, of course, to everyone. We always have fun on Halloween. But guys, let's jump right into it this morning with the availability report here. And two players have been moved up to probable, Lance Jackson and Cole Hudson. Y'all's thoughts?
It's hard to take myself serious as I look into this, but I'll try to be here. Two players upgraded, as you mentioned, Blake, Lance Jackson and Cole Hudson. Cole Hudson is going to be interesting because Texas wants to get its best five on the line of scrimmage, Jerry. Will that be with Cole Hudson at center or guard? Will they keep Connor Robertson at center and insert Hudson at left guard and not have Connor Stroh and or Nick Brooks in that role, or will Hudson be reinserted at center? We'll have to wait and see, but it does give Kyle Flood another option in that situation. But of course, everybody waiting to hear on Arch Manning and Michael Taft, ourselves included. I think that's fair to say. Taft has been practicing all week in a green jersey, so that's good news. But we do not know if he's going to be able to speed up the timeline to this weekend. He was not expected to be back until the Georgia game. Oh, wait, you got a timeout? You need a timeout? Arch Manning, though, is a little bit different story. He's negotiating himself through the concussion protocol. He was practicing yesterday. It looks like he's going to make the actual timeline for the protocol to return. That, however, does not mean he should return. And that is the question now, in my opinion. What is the call with Arch Manning? He could be back, but is it best for him to be back? I think that's going to be a call between not only Steve Sarkisian and Arch Manning, but also the Manning family.
Yeah.
Longhorns need him, in my opinion, even though Matthew Caldwell has looked good, Jerry. But we shall see. That is a big unknown heading into tomorrow.
Yeah, I think, I think that's more of a family decision than an Arch Manning or Texas decision. I think that's a big thing. And no matter whether it's a slight concussion or regular concussion, I mean, however you want to define it, that's 2 in less than a year. So this is more than an Arch Manning, hey, I want to play decision. This is a much bigger decision than that for a guy who's young in his playing career. So, but Cole Hudson, it'll be very interesting to see what Texas does on the offensive line, because it could be matchup dependent too, Bobby. What they think about their matchups versus Vanderbilt, and how that offensive line would match up with a Connor Robertson at center and Cole Hudson at left guard versus a Cole Hudson at center and Stroh and Nick Brooks combo at left guard. It could be how they look at this Vanderbilt team, how they look at those matchups could be very dependent as well. And on Michael Taft, I think it'll be interesting. How effective can he be? The communication will be great. How effective can he be if he has a soft club on? I mean, that's really what it comes down to, because you can't have missed tackles that lead to touchdowns because you can't wrap up on guys. That's the one thing you don't want to have, is you look back and say, wow, they busted 2 65-yard runs and Taft couldn't wrap up on either one of them. That's the scary thing about playing a guy. Well, and then in pass coverage, you only really have one hand. You're not going to be able to finish plays on the ball. So it's, what is that worth?
One more thing as we go through today that we need to mention is we will have Billy Derrick on this morning. He is the publisher of the Vandy 24/7 website. We'll talk to him a little bit about the Vanderbilt health of Diego Pavia and that group. While I just from what I've picked up on, Jerry and Blake, even though their injury report is relatively sparse at Vanderbilt and non-consequential, look, they played some tough teams here of late.
Oh, yeah.
They're beat up. The one thing I will tell you is and DJ Campbell's beat up for Texas. It's a similar type thing, but he's not even on the injury report, right? That is similar to how Vandy is right now. You're 8 games in, and now you're starting conference play. Everybody on every team's getting the you-know-what knocked out of them right now.
Yeah.
And so we'll see if that has been part of what's going on with our friend Diego Pavia, who hasn't quite played up to snuff the last couple of games.
They'll have to carry that guy off a football field on a stretcher to get him out of a game. I mean, that's the reality of him. That dude's never tapping out. You'll have to cart him off the field to get him off the field. But that doesn't mean. I think there's a lot of guys playing in this game that aren't 100%, and they may be closer to 80 than 90, right? I mean, that's just where we're at in the season. But this is let's serious question. And I know every game is big, but where Vanderbilt's at now, this is the biggest Vanderbilt football game since when?
Long time.
I mean, this is the biggest game for them since when is the question. Chat, or when is that? Has there been a year thrown out? Is it ever? I mean, it's a massive game for Vanderbilt football.
Yeah.
They have a chance to beat Alabama and Texas in back-to-back seasons.
Yeah, and make the college football playoff. They beat Texas tomorrow. They have a beeline for the college football playoff. They could even lose one more game and still make the college football playoff. To Jerry's point, there's no way anybody thought that. All right. People are asking me, am I really a pimp? And some people don't get the costume. One of my favorite things about being in the SEC the last 2 years has been watching something called SEC Shorts on YouTube. It's a weekly parody for those of you that don't know. And ever since Vanderbilt has arrived on the scene, really with the win over Alabama last year, they've created someone called the Vandy Pimp. And there he is. And that's who I am today. So it's not like I have even got my cane here for everybody. Got a little Vanderbilt shirt on, etc. But I want to make sure everybody knows that this is just a play on words here. Not trying to say anything other than that at this point. Hey, we need to say thank you to one of our sponsors. Today's show being brought to you by BKCW Insurance. Did your business have a frustrating insurance or employee benefits renewal? Most likely you didn't hear from your agent all year, and then right before it was time to renew, your agent delivered the bad news of a rate increase. When this happens, the agent is providing no value, and you're stuck in what we call the insurance trap. BKCW aims to take you out of the insurance trap by providing you and your business with actual risk management consulting. Operating out of its headquarters in Austin and owned by a UT grad, BKCW uses a 5-step process to identify your business's weak spots, design a plan, execute it, and monitor your situation throughout the year. BKCW has already helped some of the most well-known construction companies, restaurant groups, breweries, and nonprofits in Central Texas escape the insurance trap, and it all starts with a free risk assessment. Go to bkcw.com or send an email, info@bkcw.com, to get started with a free risk assessment or claims audit and escape the insurance trap. Thank you to the fine folks over at BKCW.
Well, before we move on, I want to say happy birthday to Ed B in our chat. Ed's in here every day, and today's his birthday. So, Ed, we hope that you have a phenomenal birthday today. Appreciate you for tuning in each and every day.
Hey, it's Bob Shipley's birthday tomorrow.
Hey,
he's officially now going to be old. He's turning 65.
Wow.
Social Security checking in for Bob. So happy birthday to Bob.
Retired. He's got that retired golfer tan look too.
Yeah. We were debating the other day whether or not Bob's tan was actually from the sun or is it that weathered West Texas look? You know, could be a little bit of both, right?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to follow up with something. A question we were talking about. Choketown. I don't understand why it'd be coaches or Manning family if it's 100% the doctors. If they clear him, Art should play. Look, if the doctors clear him, obviously he's eligible to play. But I think it's potentially a little deeper than that, from a family standpoint, because he had one last year against Ohio State too, and there's a reason to, be a little cautious here. I think. I know that's not what any player wants to hear, Bobby or Blake, but I think that could be a little bit of reality. And I'm not saying he's not going to play. I'm just saying there's got to be more to the thinking than just that at some level.
Yeah, look, people, as Marcus Myers is in the chat here, he said people can be cleared to play and not play.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for me, and having seen numerous quarterbacks return to play before they were ready. I mean, y'all know what I'm talking about, is can he protect himself? That is the biggest problem with playing a young man too early returning from a concussion.
Yeah.
Their synapses just aren't firing right at the right time. You could see it with Tua last year or 2 years ago, where he just wasn't protecting himself the right way. And all of a sudden it causes a re-injury that then takes him out longer. That is, and you can't, I don't know that you can necessarily tell that before he goes out there and plays it down. Right. And so he could be cleared, but then as soon as the pads start popping and he's just a tad off and protecting himself, all bets are off. And that's where you can get yourself in real trouble. And nobody wants to see that at the University of Texas quarterback, or any quarterback for that matter.
And by the way,
you can be cleared, but the reflexes still not be there. And then you've put someone in danger that you didn't mean to.
And the other part to it is he's a player who takes on a lot of contact the way he plays football.
Yeah.
What's he gonna? How do you play? You gonna turn it off? I mean, that's easier said than done. So, it's like you tell him, hey man, if you run, you just got a slide period. No matter. I mean, you're taking who he is out of the game. He's gonna be overthinking everything. So there's a lot that goes into it. And we'll see. If Freddie says this is all mute, he's playing. We'll see what happens. I think there's more to it than just, hey, concussion, going through protocol, you release, go out there, go get him, big guy. If it was his first one, maybe. But at some point, you have to look at all this and think about the future sometimes too, I think.
Yeah, not believing that this decision is nuanced would be misplaced. You would be wrong, because it is. And I know that firsthand. So this is a nuanced decision. And it's not one that's just cut and dry. Period.
Yep. All right, guys, let's take a look at the updated line, because it has moved along with the weather. It's changed a little bit. Vanderbilt opened as the underdog, 2.5 points, but now back up to 3.5, with Texas, of course, being the favorite. So we've seen that movement throughout the week, about a 1 point change up and down. And then Bobby with those glasses kills me. And then the kickoff forecast at 11 a.m. It's going to be 62 degrees, but still about a 33% chance of rain there. But pretty nice football weather overall, especially if the rain holds off.
I tell you what, I went for a walk this morning here in Austin, and it is crisp, clean football weather right now, guys. Nice little chill in the air, but not too cold. It's going to be good. If it stays this way, tomorrow should be a great game day atmosphere and game time temperature for Texas. I want to know why they think the line went back up. I mean, any indication there? Does that mean you think that Arch is going to play? Perhaps. But I also find it interesting that Texas, a 3.5 point favorite over the number 10 team in the country, right? I mean, that's That's saying a little something. Hey guys, we've got a special guest coming in. I'm going to introduce him now. He is Billy Derrick of Vandy 24/7. Hey Billy, Vanderbilt.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize what that was.
I am the Vandy Pip. How you doing, Billy? Thanks for coming on and joining us this morning. We're going to talk a little Texas versus Vandy, if you don't mind.
I'm good. Those costumes are awesome. Is that the Kirby Smart Georgia referee there? And then I can't tell what Blake is, but Bobby, yours.
Timu Paul Feinbaum. I'm Fall Feinbaum.
These are awesome, guys. This is incredible.
Hey, Billy, we talked a little bit this week about Vanderbilt and the Longhorns coming up. Your take of how Vanderbilt is going into this game and maybe some things they're going to try to do to Texas that Texas fans might be a little less aware of, I guess.
Yeah, I think Vanderbilt, Tim Beck's a great offensive coordinator. I think he'll look at that running game and know that there's not going to be a ton of room, right? That happened against Missouri, and I think he'll try to be really creative in the passing game. But the thing Texas knows, and Pete Kwiatkowski, is that they love to slip the tight end out of the backfield. So Vanderbilt, I feel like, is on a lot of their, plan C or D on offense, especially in the passing game. So, how much more creative can they get with Stowers? Trey Richardson is a guy that, he's not a guy that'll go up and grab one on a 6'2", 6'3" corner, but how creative do they get there? So, Bobby, I think in the passing game, I look, okay, where can Vanderbilt win against Texas? And I think if I'm Tim Beck, especially with all of their motion, that every now and then Vanderbilt may run and get 3-4 yards up the middle, but they sneak a 5'10", speedster, through the side, and you're like, whoa, they haven't done that yet. So I think they will stay creative in the run game, but I think they know they're going to have to win through the air. Texas knows that as well. But Texas is not going to be able to. They're not going to give up many rushing yards, I don't think, in this game. I think if you're Tim Beck, how do you beat them through the air? I think we could see some things we haven't seen through the air with Vanderbilt's offense this season.
Hey, Tim, or Billy, the other thing I was going to mention, Marcus Myers on the live stream last night mentioned Vanderbilt rushed for 137 yards against Missouri last week. That sounds good on the surface, but 80 of it came on one run.
Right.
Texas has had issues guarding the tight end the last couple of weeks. They have been big pieces of the offense for both Kentucky and Mississippi State. That is a strength of Vanderbilt. Eli Stowers, if not a first-team All-American, certainly one of the top 2 or 3 tight ends in the country. You also have another young tight end that's been playing pretty well. Is that kind of the X factor, hopefully, for Vanderbilt, or at least from their viewpoint?
I do think so. I think you look at the tight ends, and when Vanderbilt has, they're 7-1, right? They've been winning, but when they're having success on offense, it is those tight ends. And Cole Spence had a day against LSU, and if you go back and watch that film, a lot of it was fairly simple. It was just Vanderbilt. When you get your run game established, if you're Tim Beck, he knows, okay, I'm about to slip the tight end out here. And everything is setting it up for that. But if Vanderbilt can't run the ball, like in Tuscaloosa, go back and watch the Alabama game. Vanderbilt was not able to run the football, and they were in a lot of 2nd and 12s and 3rd and 9s. And Vanderbilt's bread and butter is 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. That's where they live, and they love some of those short tight end seam passes as well. But almost every play is a read, because Pavia is so good at it. So, but a lot of times you don't know, is this an RPO? What type of read is this? And I think that's the tough part for Kwiatkowski. There's so much deception in this offense that almost for someone that covers the team, it's hard to tell, typically what's coming. So I'm always excited to see what Tim Beck has drawn up. I could see this type of game where Vanderbilt wins early, potentially through the air. But you're right. If Stowers isn't a factor, it's hard for me to see Vanderbilt winning this game. But you can't forget about Cole Spence either. If Cole Spence blows up like he did, against LSU, I could also see Vanderbilt's offense having success, and because he's so active in the run game on the blocking side of things that he may sneak out a few times. I do think the tight ends could definitely be an X factor, because I could also see Texas shutting down Vanderbilt's receivers to a degree.
Hey, Billy, I asked this question kind of the chat to see what they would come up with on their research. This is the biggest Vanderbilt football game since when?
I think ever. I think this season has been, we've said that the last few weeks,
Yeah.
and for teams like a Texas or an Alabama or a Georgia, you don't say that typically in a season. Oh, we keep saying that each week, but I think again this is the big, because if you win this game, you're already number 9 in the country. You are almost a lock for the playoff. You still got to beat Auburn, you still got to beat Kentucky, but the way Vanderbilt's been able to take care of business, you would feel confident there in those 2 games. Now, historically, Vanderbilt, those are games late in the season they could lose. But this Vanderbilt team, Clark Lee has done such a good job of stripping the past and not talking at all about the past. Anytime he's asked about the past, he said, well, I don't care. I'm not interested in talking about the past. I'm looking forward to the future and what this program can do right now with these guys in this new era of college football. So, yeah, I think it's the biggest game. And look, going into Austin, you tell me this 4 or 5 years ago, Vandy's going to be the number 9 team in the country, going to Austin on ABC at 11 a.m. for a chance to, stay in the college football playoff hunt. Like that. So that's why, that I would have never thought. So that's why, again, I think it's again the biggest game for Vanderbilt.
Hey,
As
Bill,
somebody who covers Vanderbilt, what point did you believe in what Diego Pavia could actually do for this program? When was that point for you?
That's a good question. I think it was Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech last year at home. That was a big game for this program. Clark Lee knew that was a game they had to win because that was again, tough schedule. Last 2 years have been brutal schedules. Yeah. And it's similar to the Oklahoma discussion, but I do think it was that Virginia Tech game because going into that fall camp, even, we saw Pavia, he looked like a walk-on. He was he's 5'10", didn't look like he could even, look over the line. And I watched his tape. We all watched his tape, and I just didn't think that could translate. But I think what we all forgot was that his OC came over, his head coach came over, Eli Stowers came over, who he's best friends with and roommates. And there was a couple other New Mexico State guys that came over. And now you've got MK Young, who I haven't talked about yet, but he's an explosive running back. He was on that New Mexico State team as well. Now he's on their team. So all the familiarity, they knew what they had. But I don't think really anybody in the outside knew quite what they had. And Jerry Kill was a huge factor in that. Tim Beck, obviously, the familiarity. But Pavia was the instigator. And he saw a vision. He saw Clark Lee's vision for the program. But I did not expect the type of season they had last year. But I think it was that Virginia Tech game because Virginia Tech was a sleeper college football playoff team. You go back a couple of years ago. Now their coach is gone. But yeah, and then he just kept it going. You go on the road to Columbia last year and you almost win that game. And then I know the Georgia State loss sort of sent Vanderbilt back down a peg, but then you beat Alabama. And so the Alabama win was cementing the fact that, okay, Pavia is legit. He can beat big-time college football programs. He just beat the number 1 team in the country. Now, again, he was hurt last year down the stretch of the season, and they've tried to correct that this year with protecting him in the offensive line. But, yeah, Gary, I'd say the Virginia Tech game last year, and that was early, but that was a huge statement early, and being there live, I knew, okay, this kid can play.
Hey, Billy, we talk about Texas and the injury to Arch Manning. We're still waiting to hear whether or not he'll be able to play. Michael Taft, one of their leaders on defense, someone that Diego Pavia spoke highly of postgame last year in this contest. Question for you is Vanderbilt and their health. I mean, Diego Pavia takes a number of hits. There's no way he's missing this. I'm not trying to put him in the injury tank or anything like that. But those hits have to be piling up on him since he's the focal point of the offense.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's definitely banged up and bruised. I think last year it was obvious. I don't think it's as obvious this year, but he's a guy that it's funny. You watch him play. He's a classic wrestler playing football. He knows how to get tackled, and the way he lands, and his shoulder. He's been leading with the right shoulder. I think he's smarter about how he knows. They haven't done a lot of inside like QB powers. I think they've made sure they're running him on the outside a lot more. So he'll sit here and say he's fully healthy. I mean, I don't. I don't think he's perfectly healthy. Now, I think he's a lot healthier than he was last year at this point in the season. So, but that's the way he plays. You know, I think I heard on one of your podcasts that Arch Manning and Pavia play the same style. So it's it's a fine line, you know, with those guys that you have to walk, especially as a coach and an OC when you're calling plays. But outside of Pavia, they're fine. They have a defensive tackle, Issa Wataha, big German guy, 6'7", 300 pounds that they've lost for the season, but he's been out for most of the season. So that doesn't really affect them. I mean, for the season it does, but not this week. And then outside of that, there's one player that defensive lineman, another reserve, but outside of that, they're fine. You know, they're pretty healthy. And so, but yeah, Pavia, I'd be surprised if he's, you know, if he's close to 100% in terms of health.
You have any final thoughts on this game? What's your prediction, Billy? Don't give it to us softly. Let people down softly here. I know you're going to pick Vandy. What you got?
Yeah, I thought a ton about this, guys. Early in the week, I didn't feel great about it, but as it's gone on, I just keep thinking to myself, you know, these weeks, you know, LSU, a lot of the talk was that LSU is more talented and Vanderbilt on the boundary is susceptible. And, you know, Nussmeier is going to step up and, but turns out Vanderbilt, you know, Brian Kelly has been fired and Vanderbilt's actually gotten a couple of coaches fired this year. I think Brent Pry and now Brian Kelly and then Missouri, that Missouri game was ugly. I do think this game is going to be very similar to that. This Vanderbilt team is really old. I think they average like 23, 24 years old, which is ridiculous. Texas is really young. And I keep going back to that. You know, I think it's going to be really close. I think, you know, in Pavia, I could see this game being the game that, you know, we talk about if he's at 85%, I could see this game being the game that pegs him down to 75% after this. I mean, if you're Pete Kwiatkowski, that, you know, you're licking your chops sort of here. I just think this team has a way of finding ways to win. I could see Vanderbilt winning a 2017 game. I could also see Texas winning. I mean, Texas is really talented. They've got guys that can expose Vanderbilt, right? But as a team, as a unit, I do think Vandy finds a way. I've gone back and forth, but I'm interested. It's about Arch to me also. Like I don't know how you guys feel. You know, if you guys have a gut, I think he plays. But if you're Vanderbilt's defense, you know, you've got to attack that. That's what they did to Sellers. You know, they took him out of the game. They did that to Pribula. I mean, you know, and can they, in a weird way, do it to Arch? I'm not, you know, trying to say, you know, injured, but it's football, it's SEC football. So I'll be interested. You know, I think Arch will answer a lot of those questions for Texas.
Well, we'll see. I am not picking Vanderbilt for the record, even though I'm the Vandy pimp today. Billy, thank you so much for your time, buddy. We appreciate it. Any Thanks, final thoughts you want to add?
No, I love the costumes. I didn't know they were actually. So did you buy that on like?
Oh no. Yes, I bought the Vanderbilt shirt and the costume is not full. It's kind of makeshift. I had to bring it into everything, but yeah.
I love it. These are perfect. Good. But love the channel.
In all seriousness, that this is one good thing about what's happened. Vanderbilt's one of the great stories of college football right now. Yeah. Good academic institution, great academic institution that's kind of finding its way in major college football. I'm sure it's fun for Vanderbilt students and alumni to kind of rally around it. It really is one of the better stories. And thanks for your time this morning.
Billy, absolutely, guys.
All right. You have
appreciate it, guys.
Good stuff. Good stuff there. What do you say, Kirby Smart? What do you think about that interview? Anything stand out? Oh, is that a timeout or
clapping?
Yeah, look, I kind of remain where I've been all week on this game. When you watch the Missouri game, Missouri, really good defensive team, but they can really rush the passer. And when I watch games like that, I say I'm hunting a matchup. Okay, what looks good for Texas, right? No different than Vanderbilt when they watch Texas. What looks good for them versus Texas? I think the offensive tackles and the right guard are going to have some issues. I know they're big humans over there. They have some big guys. I think they're going to have some issues against Texas defensive front and pass rush ability. And I've kind of remained the same on that. It's up to Vandy to be better in pass protection than they were against Missouri. Because the point that was brought up, their running backs had 13 carries for 33 yards outside the big run last week. And if if Texas cuts out the big play, if Vanderbilt doesn't get that big run this week, then their running backs are going to have to produce more than 13 for 33 on the road. And the other thing I'll say is that Texas perimeter players on defense have to get off blocks. It's not talked about because we always talk about the line of scrimmage, but Vanderbilt may have as good a blocking wide receiver core as Texas has played this year. So Texas has to get off blocks. They have to be physical on the perimeter because they're going to see some option, I think. They're going to see some different things than they've seen all season. So those perimeter defenders for Texas are going to have to be physical and get off blocks. And then on the flip side, I think Texas has some advantages at wide receiver in this game if the quarterback has time to throw the football. And I don't think that's necessarily Vanderbilt's strength rushing the passer. I think disguise is going to be their strength in this game. I like Texas. I think Texas matches up well. Whether Arch plays or not, I'm picking Texas in this game.
All right. Well, before we move on, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone about Mint Mobile.
You know what doesn't belong in your college football plans other than a Vanderbilt victory? Getting burned by your old wireless bill. While you're planning a barbecue or a 3-day weekend for Texas football game or a tailgate, your wireless bill should be the last thing you're holding you back. That's why you can make the switch to Mint Mobile. It's the wireless plan I sent my son off to college with. With Mint, you can get the coverage and speed you're used to, but for way less money. And for a limited time, Mint Mobile is offering 3 months of unlimited premium wireless service for $15 a month. So while your friends are sweating over the overages and surprise charges, you'll be chilling literally and financially. This year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get the new customer offer and your 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/ontexas. That's mintmobile.com/ontexas. Upfront payment of $45 is required. Limited time new customer offer for the first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. Again, that's mintmobile.com/ontexas.
And I'm going to tell you all about Huel. I love me some Huel. You ever have those mornings where you're running out the door, no time for breakfast? That was me pretty much every day. But now I've got Huel. It's my go-to. 35 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, 27 essential vitamins and minerals, no added sugar, and it's gluten-free. It's under $5 a meal, ready to go. I drink it daily. It keeps me sharp and not hangry. My energy's smoother all day. There's no crash, no skipping meals, just solid focus. And now they've added the daily greens ready to drink to their lineup. Man, it tastes fresh. It's clean. It's only 25 calories. You're getting 42 vitamins, minerals, and superfoods, 4 grams of fiber, and just 1 gram of sugar in that daily greens ready to drink. It's the perfect morning pick-me-up or even a midday reset. So if you're busy like me and want healthy eating made simple, grab both. Huel is now in Target stores nationwide, or you can order online. Get 15% off your first purchase with code ONTEXAS at huel.com/ONTEXAS. That's Huel, HUEL.com/ONTEXAS using promo code ONTEXAS. That's Huel. Eat smart, stay fueled, keep it moving. And I'm also going to tell you all about Prize Picks this morning because we make decisions daily, but being right on Prize Picks can get you paid. It's simple to play. You're just going to pick more or less 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get those picks right, you can cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. It's the best way to get in on the sports action in more than 40 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and right here in the great Lone Star State. And this week, I got UTEP quarterback Skylar Locklear going over 202.5 passing yards, Texas State running back Lincoln Pear to go over 70.5 rushing yards, and UTSA running back Robert Henry to have at least 1 touchdown, whether that be through the air or on the ground. So come join me on those picks or make your own in less than 60 seconds. Turn your sports opinions into real money. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code ONTEXAS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code ONTEXAS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And that's Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
Hey, Blake.
Yes, sir.
What were some of the Texas numbers that they had on Prize Picks this weekend? Like,
when I last
White
looked,
rush.
Bobby, they actually didn't have any up, but that may be due to obviously the uncertainty at quarterback. But let me look now, because I guess yesterday or maybe the day before when I looked, they did not have any. But I am definitely going to look real quick.
Well, it strikes me, and maybe Jerry, look, Texas has not established a run, and Vanderbilt tries to get you in 3rd and long. So Clark Lee can kind of just, disguise his blitzes and his pressures. He's a defensive coach first. He was for those that are unaware, he was the former defense coordinator at Notre Dame prior to Marcus Freeman. I think that, Jerry, for me, I think the Texas run game has to show something on Saturday. I'm not sitting here saying they need to rush for 150, but they need to take some pressure, at least a little, off of Arch or Matthew Caldwell, whoever goes. So I'm wondering if Trey Wisner is back. Hopefully Cedric Baxter is off the pitch count to that point. I mean, we thought he would be on a 20-play pitch count against Mississippi State. Well, guess what? He was. He was in for 21 plays, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully he's back, and that gives a little punch, especially up the middle. We'll have to wait and see. For those of you that did not hear the outset, Cole Hudson and Lance Jackson have both been upgraded to probable, while Arch Manning and Michael Taft remain at questionable right now for the Longhorns, based on last night's injury report submitted by Steve Sarkisian and the Longhorn staff.
I would say this: that Vanderbilt's only loss, in which both teams turned the ball over, by the way, Alabama running backs rushed for 153 yards in that game. So that was a pretty big number. LSU, which is a tight game for those that didn't watch, Caden Durham, Harlem Berry, Juwan Johnson combined for 113. They only carried it 19 times. Caden Durham had a big 51-yard run in that game. So they rushed it okay. Then Ahmad Hardy last week, obviously one of the best backs in the SEC. Now, the two running backs for Missouri combined for 30 rushes for 119 yards. And that was after, Bo Perbella went out with the broken leg, and that kind of stymied some of their run game because Matt Zollers is not. He's more of a pocket guy. But teams have run the ball effectively enough. That's all the running back tandems of the last 3 games in the SEC have all combined to go for over 100 yards. I do think we need to see something similar tomorrow in DKR from Texas, because if every team is doing it, then there's possibilities there for Texas. And I know people are like, well, Texas can't run the football. But I think there's a stick-to-itiveness about running the football too and making it simplistic. And look, it's like Billy said about Vanderbilt, they live in 3rd and 5. Well, Texas needs to live in 3rd and 5 too. This is a 3rd and 5. Who can live there the most type of game? So we'll see. But Texas has to have some hard-headedness about the run tomorrow. I really believe that. Because like what they did against Mississippi State, that can work in spurts, but that's not – and Sark said it Monday, they have to be able to run – he knows they have to be able to run the football because your defense can't play 75, 80 snaps a game and hold up. And that's part of running the football, is keeping your defense from playing 75, 80 snaps. And I know Vanderbilt will condense the game, but Texas has to be able to – they have to force the run. I'll say force the run tomorrow.
Going back to your question about the prize pick stat projections, they don't have any yardage for anybody during this game, which is unusual.
Yeah.
They have touchdowns, and they actually have both Matthew Caldwell and Arch Manning both listed for a rushing touchdown. The player that they have the most projections on is actually Mason Shipley. They have 4 ones on him.
How many points?
So they have 6.5 kicking points for him. They have 3.5 PATs made, or extra points. And then they have 1.5 field goals made as well.
3.5 extra points.
Yep.
They think Texas, that they're wow.
So, but no yards for receivers, running backs, any quarterbacks, nothing like that in this week's.
Look, I mean, it kind of falls in line. Yeah, we'll see with what my guesstimate score is. We're all guesstimating.
Yeah, we are all guesstimating. Hey, speaking of Brian Irwin, Coach Brian Irwin normally joins us on Fridays. He is not going to be able to be here today because he is vacationing. I got a text from him earlier this week. He said, I stayed up till 4 a.m. in Turkey. He's over in the Europe right now, gallivanting with his wife, having a couple weeks off. But he said he stayed up until 4 o'clock watching the Longhorns last week in the morning. He said, what a dub. He will be back on with us next week. So miss him a little bit right now because he certainly would love these costumes and talking about it. What would Coach Irwin go as? A coach. That's what he would go as, I think.
He should dress up as Diego Pavia. He's very similar.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Rough, tumble, wrestler, tough, leader, gets the most out of his guys.
Well, Rod has the best line for Diego Pavia. He says he's a likes to fight guy.
Oh, yeah. He's a UFC fighter.
Yeah, he likes to fight. Yeah. And Billy Derrick, when we were interviewing him, Jerry, one of the things I talked about there, or I had said earlier in the week, Arch Manning's kind of a likes to fight guy.
Yeah.
He really, I mean, they're totally different. And you wouldn't necessarily think that of a Manning, but Arch kind of plays that likes to fight game. The way he goes up and lowers the head and that kind of thing.
Look, if I'm Dana White, if Diego Pavia can't make it in the NFL as I don't know, anything, he's not going to be a quarterback, don't get me wrong, but as an anything, if I'm Dana White, I'm getting him on Slap Fest and then UFC. I could see Diego Pavia getting in Slap Fest and winning. He's Slap Fest guy for sure. I don't think there's any doubt.
Hey, one other thing's going to happen this weekend. Marcus Myers mentioned in the chat, and it's worth discussing. The University of Texas tomorrow celebrating the 20th anniversary of the 2005 National Championship team. They'll be on the field down there in the first quarter. Congratulations to all those guys that are going to be able to be there and celebrate one of the great things. Also yesterday, the women's basketball team, Vic Schaefer announcing on Twitter, I don't know if y'all saw this or not, but they got their rings for making the Final Four, and man, were they full of bling. I mean, it was outrageous what those looked like. Good stuff, and congratulations to the ladies for that. Texas women's volleyball goes to Texas A&M this evening. That'll be a big game in College Station, by the way. Texas puts its undefeated record on the line. There's the ring, man, that Vic Schaefer got all his players. Woo. A lot of sparkle in that thing. Congratulations to the women for that accomplishment last year.
We got some super chats that we're going to jump over to. And by the way, Jeff Carey, thank you for yours, saying you love the costumes. Let's see here. We got some O-line ones. Let's start with Nick. Nick says, Vandy O-line averaged 333 pounds, 3 grads, 2 seniors. Will that be a Vandy advantage versus Texas, or will a quicker DL take advantage?
Really good question.
I've talked about this all week. Look, I go back and watch the condensed highlights. That's all you have to watch of the on YouTube, the ESPN of Missouri and Vanderbilt. Missouri can rush the passer. They have edge guys similar to Texas, but the right guard had issues. He may be a big guy. He had issues against the Missouri quickness, and they had issues against on the edge at tackle spot. I think they're big guys. Yes. I think Texas is more athletic, and I think Texas has some of the best pass rushers in the country. And I expect Texas to take advantage in some areas just as Missouri did. Now, you have to have lane discipline in this game. You have to have pass rush integrity in this game. But I think Texas will win in certain matchups against Vanderbilt, just like Missouri did.
Yeah, I watched the whole game as well, Jerry. I went back and watched the whole game the other day. I would say this, and Billy Derrick of Vandy 24/7 put it right. They want to live in 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. So if they can get 3 yards on first down with those big dudes up front, that is right up their alley. That gives them 2 goes. And so look, we need big performance tomorrow from Alex January.
Yeah,
He's one of the defensive tackles. Obviously, Murad Watson has been dinged up a little bit, but he should be back. We'll see who all they go with against that big Vandy front. But to your point, if you can put speed on the field in guys like Ethan Burke and Colin Simmons and Brad Spence and Trey Moore, hopefully they'll get upfield and beat some of those guys, that guard tackle combo, as you mentioned on the right side. We'll see how it goes.
I want to read this from Storm before we get to the next super chat. It says, Bobby, Blake, and Jerry, I'm spending my wedding tomorrow with On Texas Football. I get my wedding at 3. So congratulations on getting married, and glad we're along for the ride with you.
Yeah, congratulations.
That's very smart of you to say as a married man, Blake.
Good luck to you, Storm.
Yeah, definitely. And then going back to the offensive line, but to Texas offensive line, this time Bobby's Mayo spreader says, if the offensive line and wide receiver woes continue, do you see any staff changes at the end of the season?
Not only if they move on. I mean, I don't see Sark firing either of those guys. I mean, that's what you're saying or implying. The reality of it is that Sark likes the consistency he has on his coaching staff. I mean, he does. He values it because, look, he's trying to build a culture. If you don't think Kyle Flood and Chris Jackson are a valued part of that culture, I don't see him making that change. Now, also could have that change.
Yeah, I mean, guys turn down NFL jobs every year,
including those 2.
Including those 2 last offseason, by the way.
Yeah.
But here's the thing I've always said about this. Sark is the head coach, the offensive coordinator, the play caller. It's his scheme. It's his personally picked guys. He's in every evaluation meeting. There's not a decision that's happening without him signing off on it. So, I mean, I always say this, once you start firing those guys, all bets are off.
Yep, I agree.
I mean, his first 2 hires at the University of Texas were Kyle Flood and Jeff Banks.
Yeah, for a reason.
Before we get to our next few super chats, Jerry, I'm going to let you tell everyone this morning about Harry's.
I can do that. I don't have my Harry's razor with me. It's at home. But Harry's razor, it's been a hit. I will tell you that. They have was your old razor dull too fast, irritate your neck? That's actually the worst. How did Harry's Plus feel like a step up in craftsmanship? Was it the best razor you've ever used? Absolutely, it has been. Harry's just launched their brand new razor called Harry's Plus as well. Harry spent 10 years developing their most advanced razor yet. Yes, an entire decade of R&D for the smoothest possible shave. This is their biggest launch in history of their company. If you're looking for an incredibly advanced shave, but still want to pay less than other premium brands, Harry's Plus is for you. Has an advanced pivoting system to make reaching all those corners of your face even easier. That refined blade technology they have, that creates an even closer, more comfortable shave. Their blade spacing is optimized to glide smoothly and avoid clogging. What I love is the weighted metal handle. You can feel it. You have more control with the razor. Great product Harry's has. If you don't love your shave, Harry's will make it right. No questions asked. Risk-free trial means 0 downside to giving it a shot. Harry's Plus isn't a razor, by the way. It's the centerpiece of a full grooming lineup, from shave gel to body wash, all designed with the same attention to detail. For a limited time, our listeners can get the Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 at harrys.com/ontexas. That set includes the all-new Harry's Plus razor 1 refined 5-blade cartridge, 2-ounce foaming gel, and a travel cover to protect your blades on the go. Just head to harrys.com/ontexas to claim this offer. And after the purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about him. The Vandy pimp told you about him, obviously.
Time out, Kirby. Time out.
And I need you to tell everyone about Vaughn Lane as well, Kirby.
Oh, I can do that, man. This fall, you got places to be. Athens next week. In 2 weeks, Texas football at DKR. Well, you went to the Red River rivalry. NFL Sundays in Houston and Dallas. I'm sure you went to the ACL Fest and Austin F1 race. There's plenty of places you need to be. So why waste hours at the airport stuck behind the wheel? With Vaughn Lane, you can just walk into the hotel terminal, check in within minutes, and you're on board. No TSA, no hassle. Settle into just one of 22 oversized first-class seats. Stretch out, recline, and enjoy the complimentary Wi-Fi, snacks, and drink. Want a beer or cocktail? Well, they've got you covered at Vaughn Lane, that's for sure. Travel is open now through December. They are booking fast, guys. So book for the game days, concerts, or your Thanksgiving and Christmas trips. Visit Vaughn Lane and use code OTF25 to save $20 on your first ride. And remember this, Vaughn Lane, what is it? It's a private jet on wheels.
I tell you what, the thing about Vaughn Lane, and I'll continue to repeat this, the lack of stress you feel,
Yes.
you just get on that as opposed to going to the airport or get in a car and fight traffic. You get a little bit of your sanity back when you use Vaughn Lane. I would put it that way.
Oh,
I'm leaning on my cane right now, by the way. The crown is heavy today.
Love it.
I just got to say, Hugh Freeze, you got porked.
Juan Garza with the super chat says, Jerry, why did Jeff Traylor turn down Tech? Was that a mistake?
At the time, he did turn down Tech. He turned down Colorado, Arizona State, Purdue, a couple others. At the time when you turned down Tech, you didn't know where how invested Cody Campbell would get and where the NIL was truly going at Texas Tech. In defense of any coach who turned down that, but Jeff Traylor absolutely did turn that down back in the day.
Yeah, it was before NIL.
Yeah.
Right. He had a big win, though, over the Tulane program last night.
That's a big one for them.
Kind of a runaway win. And Tulane's coach is getting a lot of commentary right now about being the possible next coach at LSU. Interestingly, we did not mention this, guys, for y'all, but LSU not only fired Brian Kelly earlier this week, last night they parted ways with longtime athletic director Scott Woodyard. He is a LSU grad, was the former AD at Texas A&M. He'd been at Washington, then returned to LSU. He hired Brian Kelly, which at the time was considered a coup, Jerry. But that did not wear well. And so now Scott Woodyard, according to the governor, he got fired by the governor, by the way. I mean, come on. That's a hell of a person to get fired by. But anyways, their coaching search, to say it's in disarray and their athletic department looks like a hot mess would be the understatement of the year. It looks like Louisiana politics reinvented, basically. Ugly.
I will say this: it's an ugly situation for sure. But if it kept Woodyard from trying to hire Jimbo Fisher, it's probably the smartest play.
That's true. Here is the other thing that the governor of the state of Louisiana pointed out, and it's not unlike what some folks have pointed out around the industry elsewhere. And I think this is to note. Not only is Jimmy Sexton the super agent, not only is he the agent of Brian Kelly and James Franklin and Nick Saban and all these big name guys, right? He's also the agent of some of these athletic directors.
Oh, yeah.
And so how can a guy be on both sides of a negotiation? That just smells ripe for taking advantage of the universities. He's also on the side of some of the players. So there's some conflicts of interest there. It's kind of crazy. But look, he has already, Jimmy Sexton, the super agent, has $130 million. Okay. $130 million of dead money going to his coaches right now. So buyout money just this year, $130 million plus the 77 from Jimbo 2 years ago. I mean, it is incredible. Incredible. But a lot of double dealing, it feels like, in the industry, even if Jimmy Sexton, I mean, by the way, this is not a pile on Jimmy Sexton thing, Jerry or Blake. Nothing he's doing is quote unquote illegal, right? And so I'm not trying to pile on him, but it feels like there's the universities may be the ones that are getting the rug pulled over their eyes.
Yeah, and I would say this, and I'm not trying to bring another agent name into it, but it's reality of the situation. Trace Armstrong was Brian Kelly's agent. He's also Garrett Nussmeier's agent. So you have agents that are also the player agents now, as well as a coach agent. It's like we're in a really weird place here in college athletics right now, where these guys are, I mean, I don't want to go stock market, but it's like Ken Griffin being a market maker at the same time as running a hedge fund. I mean, you're kind of like, whoa, bro. I mean, but these guys are not just a coach agent. They could be an AD agent. They could also be a player agent now. Feels like a huge conflict of interest.
Hey, Bobby, I don't know if you saw this or not. You're going to have to look closely. I asked him to send it to it like a regular picture, but Michael, my business with the super chat, says, like my new pick. And it's a cartoon drawing of you saying boom.
I like it.
In the Vanderbilt costume. So
we need one from a linebacker coming up soon, Jerry. He's visiting this weekend. Good comment with the boom to talk a little bit about recruiting before we get to some super chats, if you don't mind, Jerry.
I got to respond to Mike because he's asked a few times what this is about. This is a playoff of Kirby Smart against Auburn and the timeout, not timeout. The ref crew from the Auburn game, which totally Hugh Freeze got porked in Auburn, they're suspended forever. So it's just kind of a playoff that. And by the way, Georgia is the least penalized team in the SEC, or right there with Missouri is the least penalized team in the SEC. So get ready, Texas. You're headed to Athens in 2 weeks.
What about that linebacker that's visiting this weekend, Jerry?
Yeah, Karan Maycock. There's a few guys visiting this weekend. Karan Maycock, official visitor. He's committed to FSU. And we'll see where that goes. Texas offered him, bringing him in immediately on an official visit. I think that happened because Braylon Hodge, the linebacker from Cherry Creek, who decommitted from Michigan State, committed to Oregon over Texas. Texas wanted Braylon Hodge. So that Texas still has a linebacker spot to fill. Teray Davis, the defensive back from Boulder Fairview. He's making an unofficial visit. We'll see if he then schedules an official visit. Difference there is Karan Maycock at Miami Central. Texas had coaches through Miami Central last spring, so they've seen him. They've made the in-person evaluation on him. Teray Davis, I think Texas is this is a big visit for him. We'll see if he scheduled an official visit coming off of this. He officially visited Washington last weekend. You see a number of commits. John Turntine is now, his family texted me this morning. I'd said on TexasFootball.com it was likely. They played last night. It's now confirmed he'll be in with a number of other commitments. There will be more guys on the commit list coming in. Diabell, Chris Stewart, Jermaine Bishop, Hayward Howard. We'll see if Hayward Howard comes alone or if he brings a special guest. We're waiting to hear on that. Nicholas Robertson, obviously. John Turntine was the Dave Campbell 6A Player of the Week last week. Congrats. Not many offensive linemen to win that award. Blake, I think you have Ray Gates' comments on John Turntine. John Turntine is the definition of what it means to be a North Crowley Panther. He embodies the standard of excellence in everything he does on the field, in the classroom, and in his life. He's elite in every pursuit, driven by relentless commitment to improve and refusal to make excuses. His resilience, discipline, and selfless leadership set the tone for those around him. John doesn't just wear the North Crowley logo. He represents its culture, work toughness, and team first. That's head coach Ray Gates. We've had him on the show before. I think John Turntine's going to be a fabulous college football player. Yes, he'll get up to 305, 310 pounds, and he'll be fine. I think he was about 260 last year. He was about 274, 276 when I was through there a few weeks ago. He'll play it over 300, 305, 310 pounds. John Oat 007 asked Malachi Lee unlikely. Thinks Texas remains talking to him. We'll see if he gets on campus. I think Sharon Moore is kind of saved. He's done a good job at Michigan this year. He's not on the hot seat as of right now. We'll see where that goes. But Micah Smith, we're waiting to hear if Texas is going to get Micah Smith on campus for an OB, despite being at the Vero Beach offensive tackle, the 4-star, despite being committed to UCLA. I think he's Ohio State lean over Texas, Tennessee, Auburn right now. But Texas is working on getting him in later this month. Again, November 22nd is the big visit weekend. That's what Texas had scheduled, because that's the flex schedule. That's either the afternoon 2:30, 3 p.m. kick or a night kick. And these 11 a.m.s are really tough to get a lot of kids to during the season. They've circled that November 22nd game all season long as their second big weekend, because a lot of kids will be out of the high school football playoffs, and it's a later start.
Jerry, this from Longhorn Blood. Jerry, do you know if Texas has offered Carson Lacombe out of Piper High School in San Antonio?
I want to add real quick that Carson just put out that he is visiting Texas this weekend.
I'm not aware of an offer.
2028 wide receiver.
Yeah, he's a young kid. Texas has not offered him yet. He has 5 Power 5 offers. But Texas has not offered him yet. He's about 6'3", 185, 200 pounds. Big kid. But he's a 2028, again, very young kid. But Texas has not offered him to date.
There you go.
We also need to mention the basketball commit yesterday, Blake, while we're here on recruiting before we move on. Joe Sterling committed to Texas. We said that was probably going to happen. That does not affect Austin Gooseby. Austin Gooseby will be in town this weekend, obviously. Joe Sterling, 6'4" guard, one of the best shooters, top 2 or 3 shooters in the country. So Texas has Bo Ogden, Joe Sterling, both 4 stars. Bo Ogden, obviously, a top 35 guy in the country, committed right now. Austin Gooseby, I think, remains a Texas lean, but BYU and Duke are both all in on him. Then the other guy to know is Cameron Williams, the 5-star, top 5 prospect in the country, the power forward, a future lottery pick out of Phoenix St. Mary's. I think he's an elite prospect. Texas, Duke, and Arizona, 3 weeks ago, it's thought to be Texas Zona. He made the Duke visit. I've heard this week it may be Texas Duke, and that'll be interesting to see. I mean, Duke is all in. When you're battling Duke for 2 guys, that's a good place to be. Duke is all in despite Josh Howard's son's commitment to Duke. Duke is all in on Austin Gooseby and Cameron Williams. So Texas has some big battles coming up, and we'll see which way it goes. But Sean Miller and his staff are doing a really good job. And obviously basketball season starts, the regular season, November 4th against Duke in Charlotte, which is a Duke home game, essentially. Duke's a 7.5-point favorite. We'll see the health of Matas and Lucina. They both went through some things around the media window yesterday. We'll see how close to 100% they get by Duke game to see if both those guys give it a go.
More super chats this morning. We got a couple of comments that I want to read. First, this one from Arthur Mills. Thank you, Arthur. Appreciate you. He says, "Up from Atlanta, y'all. Clark Lee is a great coach. Mix that with second chance guys and others. 25-plus goals, and you have a team on a mission. It'll be a tough matchup." But he says Texas still wins. Lean on, Bobby Burton. Your costumes, 100.
Hey, Billy Derrick of Vandy 24/7 mentioned the average age of the Vanderbilt team, above 22 years old. Texas, I think, is 19 plus, right in between 19 and 20. So this feels like Texas is playing the old BYU of those days where they'd come back from their missions, right? I feel like, though, the reality of it is Texas is still growing as a team right now. And that's something that we expected, or at least suspected, heading into the year, that they wouldn't be great right out of the gate, but that they would grow. I do think we're seeing this team grow before our eyes. It doesn't always look pretty when you grow. Sometimes you're an ugly duckling before you become a swan, right? And so, look, if Arch can go this week, I think he's going to try, but we'll see how it goes. And I think they just got to keep getting better, because they are such a young team, because Texas is such a young team. I just think there's so much more meat left on that bone for what Texas can do.
And then speaking of Arch, a super chat from Leonard says Texas needs to get Arch a VCs, I think is how you say it, helmet. Yeah. His play style, along with this being his second in a year. So
I don't know what a VC's helmet is. Is that the puffy thing around him? Is that what that is?
I'm looking. It's just the type of helmet, just a brand.
Okay. Yeah. Free advertising for VCs.
Yeah. I was about to say, are you a salesman for VCs?
I was going to say, Riddell was like, what?
Look, Arch may need one, but the whole Texas fan base may need one this season.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I'll wear for the live stream.
I've been knocked around a little bit for sure.
Maybe that's what I'll wear.
And then a super chat from Patrick. Patrick says, I just rewatched the Mississippi State game. LaFowl looked hurt in that game.
He did, actually, and he came off the field in the fourth quarter after that shovel pass. He looked like he came up a little limp, but he's not listed on any injury report. And so I felt like what really happened is once that guy got loose like that, Texas decided we're going with speed on the field from here on. They also went full-time with Xavier Filsaime on the field. Jelani, I mean, I felt like from that point forward, they said, we got to go speed. And they put Anthony Smith in for Leonga LaFowl the rest of the way. So Leonga is a between the tackles guy primarily. Anthony a little bit better in pass coverage, I think, and a little bit faster.
The shovel pass score was something you rarely see in football. That was a shovel pass in the middle of the field against off coverage, and the guy scored. That rarely happens in football.
It was so reminiscent to me, Jerry, and this is something about the growth of this team now. It was so reminiscent of the Travion Henderson screen pass at the end of the first half in the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
You just sat there and you went, did that really just happen? He weaved between 7 or 8 Longhorns on his way to a TD. The difference being, yes, Ohio State's a better team. Texas did not come back and win that game.
Yeah.
But Texas then saw that happen to them and came back and won that game. That is growth.
Yeah.
Another team a lesser team would have folded down by 17 a second time in the fourth quarter.
All right, Bobby, before we get to our last super chat of the day, why don't you tell everyone one more time about BKCW?
I sure can do that. Today's show being brought to you by BKCW Insurance, Business Insurance. They take you out of the insurance trap by providing you with actual risk management consulting, not just price quoting, operating out of its headquarters in Austin and owned by a UT grad. BKCW uses a 5-step process to identify your business's weak spots, design a plan for you, execute it, and then monitor your business's situation throughout the year so that you can lower your insurance costs while effectively managing your company's risk. Already, BKCW has helped several of the most well-known construction companies, restaurant groups, breweries, and nonprofits in Central Texas escape the insurance trap. It all starts with a free risk assessment. Go to bkcw.com or send an email, info@bkcw, to get started with a free risk assessment or claims audit and escape the insurance trap. Thank you to our friends at BKCW for being a sponsor for so long here at On Texas Football.
We got a couple about Arch. First, a comment from Dante. He says, I just want to give kudos to Arch's pocket presence. He's special when the pocket is collapsing. I pray to God that Caldwell can navigate just as good. But on a related note, Jackson says Matt Caldwell has looked good in times where he's come in for Arch in moments. But what does 4 quarters look like for him?
That's the unknown. I mean, there's a lot of unknown with Matthew Caldwell. And the thing with Matthew Caldwell, we pointed this out, is he's made about 10 or 11, maybe 12 starts in his college career. And that's from Jacksonville State to Gardner-Webb for 2 years, then to Troy last year. He's had one start against a Power 4 opponent. That was Iowa. Obviously, this is a chance of a lifetime for him. And it's so interesting that look, if he has to play extended period of time, what that looks like for him. Because one thing for a quarterback that's, if they're attentive and they're actually locked in and they're not a redshirt kid where you're paying attention, but you're kind of not. If you're really locked in during games and you really evaluate all the pieces of that offense and all the plays that are working, the formations and stuff, you can come in from having that vantage point and do some really good things. Now, it's different if you take the ball and it's a big-time opponent in a scenario that you'd always hoped you'd be in, but you've never been in your life. So it's an unknown with him. I do think he has been so locked in. One of the impressive things that people have talked about at the Bennett games is how locked in he is with this team. And I think that benefits a guy in when they come off the bench, if they've really been attentive, listening in the headsets, paying attention, and really locked in and not just collecting a check. Those guys can come in and they've been watching the formations. They've been watching the players. They're seeing what could work and what hasn't worked and the way a game's going. So there's a lot of positives with that. It's obviously different if you take the ball in front of 100,000 people in a must-win game. That's a situation he's never been in before, and we'll see if that even ends up being the case.
I would add one thing for Jerry's comment there. Yes, he has looked good. Has he faced a pass rush like Arch has this year? The answer is no.
No.
So that is, of all the things I'm worried about with Matthew Caldwell, it is not his arm strength is not as good as Arch's, but it's good. His accuracy is fine. His play speed is really good. What happens when the pocket collapses 15 times in a game? Yeah. We have not seen that from Matthew Caldwell and how he reacts. So we'll have to wait and see if he plays at all, and if he does, how he reacts to that, because it will happen at some point during that game.
By the way, roll left. That's pretty funny. For those wondering, I'm at a Hayes City store this morning for our live show. Hayes City store. They don't really open up yet, but I'm at Hayes City store, one of the best places to watch college football games in the Hill Country. So if you live around this area, Buda, San Marcos, Wimberley, Jason Watts in the chat, he frequents this place. He lives nearby. Hayes City store, great place to watch games, great food, great Sunday brunch. You can bring your dog, unless you're a Georgia fan. They don't want your bulldog here. Live music 6 nights a week.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football, presented by BKCW. Bobby's got something.
Hey, the Vandy Pimp, as well as Kirby Smart, will be making an appearance along with Rod Babers and I believe Marcus Myers at the Co-op later today at 3:00. I think I know Rod's costume. I do not know Marcus's costume, so we'll have to wait and see. But that's coming up later this afternoon. Blake, you guys have the Field House going over some Texas high school stuff as well this afternoon. We have a lot of content in store for you here at On Texas Football, as well as ontexasfootball.com. Also, if you're going to the game tomorrow, make sure you come check out the tailgate. Blake put up the QR code there on the screen, and make sure you check us out. Come by and hang out. We'll be doing the tailgate from there in the morning. Also use tinyurl.com/VandyOTF. There are some tickets remaining, but very few. So make sure you try to get in on that as quickly as possible. And then also our game day programming tomorrow is a lot. First, we start off the Saturday combo. That'll be sponsored by our friends over at Tito's. We'll be talking about not only the Longhorns and hopefully what we hear the very latest on Arch Manning and Michael Taft. Then we'll go to the Texas tailgate there near DKR. And then watch with us, Jerry, you and Aaron Hogan, Rod Babers, Coach Shipley, all going to be doing that. And then post-game, live immediately following the game, we'll be talking about the Longhorns again, brought to you by our friends over at Flight by Yingling.
Good stuff. Well, we all hope you have a very, very happy Halloween and a great weekend. As Bobby said, don't forget to tune in throughout the day and then throughout the weekend as well for the Vandy game coverage around the clock. Of course, we'll be back on Monday morning. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.
Welcome, Horns.